Ride through the city like Brennan Schaub. I'm on a mission to get it all. Ride through the city like Brennan Schaub. If you ain't thick, please don't get involved.
And now, Brandon Thick Boy Schaub.
Yes, sir. Happy Sunday, everybody. Thanks for tuning in. This is the fan questions. The majority is your YouTube questions. If you're watching, it's like, man, how do I submit a question? How do I get it answered? Their best shot, Nick and Chin will see it. Put it in the comments below. That's where they get most of them. So put it below in the YouTube comments. Let's get this cracking. Let's get right to it. Hope you guys are enjoying your Sunday. Let's do this. Joe Bello L.
Bottom one.
Fan questions. I haven't seen any analysts bring up the fact that Yuri was knocked unconscious, hit again while unconscious, and then have a mic stuck in his face. Is it possible he was loopy when he said he was showing him mercy? Yeah. Yeah. And I always thought the UFC swore they would never interview guys that get knocked out. This is why. Because he's have we seen it? I don't think we've seen any interviews with Yuri now. So, a week after the fact, if you go to him and say, hey, man, you still believe you're showing mercy? He goes, nah, probably not. I was just searching for something. Because when you lose, you're literally like, how did this happen? Mm-hmm. And you're looking for some sort of answers. And yeah, that's a great point, dude. That's a great point. Yep. And Yuri's not a dumb guy. Like Yuri's, that whole samurai thing, like this goes against his code. And like, I'm actually a nice guy. Bro, you have 20 finishes at 22. You're a fucking savage. So that's a great point.
And he's a humble, like super humble guy. So it was out of character for him to say mercy.
Yeah. That's a great point. I'm sure him being concussed played a factor into that. Great point, dude. Junior Young 22. I'm a big fan of Colby. Why doesn't he get any love for the run he had? I find most MMA media are quick to forget how big he was for a period of time. Will they do him versus Conor? That's a good question. Him versus Conor makes sense. It's a favorable matchup for Conor. You have two guys who have been on the shelf. I love the matchup. I don't know if they're willing to give Colby that golden goose egg. He seems to be at odds with the UFC, so I doubt they're going to reward him and give him the fight everybody's vying for. They probably want a guy like Max Holloway, who's a legend and is going to carry the brand on and not say anything about fight or pay and shit like that. So I think Colby kind of fucked himself out of that fight, but it is a good matchup. The thing I don't think people are quick to forget how good Colby was. His issue was it was the whole Trump shtick, and it turns a lot of people off. And he's not a finisher. Even though he was damn good in his heyday, he wasn't the most exciting unless he was matched up with the right guy. So I think the difference between like what Josh Hokic does can be a little cringy, but it's fun. You can tell he's being silly with Colby and the issues he's had and some of the stuff he said about like Leon Edwards' dad and the shit with him and Jorge and just. He went down a different path, and people really don't fuck with it. So when you lose, they're rooting for you to lose. So when you lose, he's kind of it's kind of self-inflicted there. That's the difference there. His stuff wasn't fun. He somehow lost his way, and it wasn't fun anymore. It's mean. And Hokic isn't mean. That's the difference.
Yeah, it's just silly.
Yeah, it's silly. Take Flight 24. What's up, Brendan? Thanks for answering my question. I met you in Houston at the expo with Frankie. When Frankie fought Gray Maynard, great fight, for the third time. Anyhow, can you tell us, the fans, a good gym story or fights that public may not know? For example, I used to train at ATT in Pennsylvania, and my coach told me him and a few buddies were at a bar, got into it with a few guys, and my coach said, if you really want to fight, I'll open up my gym. So I walked down to the gym, he opened it up, and let's just say the mats were all bloody, and it wasn't from my team. Yeah, I bet the pros beat the fuck out of those Joes. Yeah. Any fight stories? Stuff like that. Not as in regards to so many like fights. I mean, there was a time when me and Shane had an appearance in Colorado Springs, and we got a call from the sheriff department. Colorado Springs said, you guys can't come down here. It was a paid gig. They said we couldn't go down there because one of the main biker gangs, their enforcer, had a bounty out on Shane. and I think me, and we couldn't go up there because he didn't want to kill us. It wasn't a bounty to kill us. He was like the tough guy in their crew, and they wanted to see how he'd stack up against a real UFC fighter. And they were like adamant about it, making it happen. So we couldn't go down there. That was weird.
That is very weird. Well, glad that didn't happen.
What else you got, bud? Big Doc 01. Oh, and this guy also sent Big Brown Breakdown, which we are switching. We're just waiting for the art. My boy Ruben is doing the art. He's like a legit artist.
He's amazing. Yeah, he's probably
I'm going away from the AI. I'm using a real artist like we all should be doing. Big Brown Breakdown fan question. How would it go with a card that is finishes only? All decision endings to the fight will be considered a draw or no contest. I'm a casual fan from New Zealand that's slowly becoming hardcore with every passing episode. Keep up the great work, lads. Thanks, brother. So he's saying, how would it go with a card that's... So you only win if you get a finish, and if there's a decision or no if there's a decision, it would be considered a draw or no contest. Basically a draw. That's interesting. So he's saying if the UFC did, hey, there has to be a finish or it's a draw
or no contest. But that's, I don't know.
It's kind of fucked up to do because at a high level, it's freaking tough to get those guys out of there. And if a guy at a high level doesn't want to get out of there, unless he makes just a bonehead mistake like Gary did or some shit like that, then it can be tough. And if it's a calculated fight and it's a good fight, like Hokick Blaydes was a decision. Would you want to miss that? Should those guys not be rewarded? Should it be considered a no contest? So I see what you're saying. It could incentivize them to go for finishes, but you're going down a weird road, dude. You got to have draws. You got to have decisions. It's easier said than done. Of course, Dana says never leave it up to the judges, which I hate, but it so happens when you get to a certain level, it's really tough to get those guys out of there. _your _therapist. She voted for the Schaub show. Hey, Schaub. Or no, did she vote for the Schaub show? Go up. Also voting for Schaub show.
That's the one from last time.
Okay.
It was very memorable.
Hey, Schaub show. Years ago, we had 4 huge UFC events per year. Then we moved to having pay-per-view cards that blew our minds every 2 months. Now there's a fight every night, every 8 minutes, and a UFC event once or twice a month. The benefit is that more up-and-comers get a big stage to fight on, but a lot of fight cards are watered down. Yep. If it were up to you, what would live events look like going forward? Frequency fights per main card, ideal pay to support fighters and keep them motivated, etc. My idea would be 12 numbered fight cards a year, and they're stacked. And in order to get on those fight cards, you have to earn your keep on Dana White Contender Series or the Apex cards, which is kind of what they do now, but there'd be no fight nights. There wouldn't be the watered down fight nights. There'd be no main event fight nights. It would all be on Dana White Contender Series or a hybrid version of that and the Apex, and we don't go anywhere else. And those guys fight, and maybe if it's every Friday night fights, and even if it's 15 fight card, whatever it is, but you have the guys who aren't ready for the number cards, they only fight there, and we stack. It's a privilege, it's an honor, and you got to earn the right to fight on those number cards that are once a month. And so those number cards become an event. Instead of just, this one's all right, that one's all right, they go back to what they were, and they're special. That's what I would do. Again, I don't know if that business model works, but that's what I would do to solve the issue of watered down cards. D_Gutierrez. What's the chance of this happening and Americans start dominating the UFC? Number 1, Strickland beats Khamzat. I'd say that's your best chance as far as American being champ right now. Number 2, Bo Nickel finally wins with his wrestling. Then he's on big fight. Then he's one big fight away from a title shot. Very possible. I like so far you're 2 for 2, bud. Hokick dominates the fight in press conference, jumps to top 3 in the division, ready for a title fight. Definitely see that happening. Okay, 1, good chance it happens. 2, good chance it happens. 3, good chance it happens. 4, Hirsch beats Nunes. Good chance it happens. Okay, dude, we got a real American patriot here. 5, Sugar dominates and wins at the White House and is inspired by Hokit and cuts a hot promo after his win, and his confidence star power should go up. 5's the only one where I'm not as confident because of Merab being there and his fight against Peter Yan, where he was at the peak of his powers. You know, he barely skated by that one. So I hope it happens. I love Sugar, and he could definitely do it, but that would be the toughest one to pull off, I think, just because he has no answer for Merab. But Strickland, Bo Nickel, Hokit, and Harris, yes. Great question, dude. Turned down. E. Haro 27. B-Shab, you the man. Last saw you in Schaumburg, Illinois. Those thick boy tie-dye hoodies were the best. Still wear mine. Thank you for all the content, especially those reels with the wife. Thank you. We haven't shot some in a while, but we will. Anyway, with the fighter pay being compared to other sports, how can we look at a player's salary, which is yearly, versus a fighter, which is per fight? Or how does that work? Dana's really been saying a few times now that they must schedule a fighter 3 times. Even if they don't fight, they get paid. This is true. How much do they get paid if they sit out? They don't get paid if they sit out, and it extends your contract. So, and the UFC is very strategic with doing this. They know they have to fight guys 3 times a year, but they have the sunset clause where if they go to, like, say Hokik, for example, perfect example. Say Hokik suffered some brain trauma, has some cuts, and they offered him that White House card, that fight, and he goes, I don't feel great, man. I turn it down. He doesn't get paid. So that was them being like, here's your opportunity to get paid. No? All right. And then they extend it. So if they offer to you, turn it down, you don't get paid. But if they don't make an original offer that they have to every, for the year 3 times, then you get your compensation. If that makes sense. At North Pole Racing. What up, man? Longtime fan since when Conor was on TFAT. Hot second ago, dude. That was at the Fox Sports office, too. I had the pleasure of going to your show in Bellevue, Washington years ago and meeting you. What are your thoughts on if Usman had a proper training camp and actually prepared for Khamzat? The first fight, he was only a few days' notice, and he did a great job to decision. Agree. I truly think a proper camp prepared Usman. If his mind's right, he could beat Khamzat. Your thoughts? I think that was a different Khamzat, unfortunately for Usman. And Father Time is completely against Usman, especially with his knees. But I do think mentally and physically that was a different Khamzat years ago. So years ago, they tried to, years ago. So I just think that's a very, very tough matchup for Usman now. And remember, Khamzat at 85 now. I know Usman did go up to 85 on short notice. I just don't see it happening because I think Khamzat, if he were to beat Strickland, there's not much for him there. He's going to jump to 205 because Slim Pickens up there and can be a double champ. So, unfortunately for Usman, I don't see it ever happening. And I do think if they fought, Khamzat would beat him. Great question, though, my man. I see where you're coming from, but I just think it's a different Khamzat. But Usman, I mean, he looked fantastic. At D Scott 7418. Fan question. Yo, Big Brown, this is your boy D out here in Alexandria, Virginia, 10 minutes outside D.C. Longtime fan, actually saw you fight in Fairfax, Virginia before the Ultimate Fighter. Dude, I fought Johnny Curtis. I knocked him out. They actually set me up for that fight. They told me he had high school wrestling. He was on the national team and was the coach of in Fairfax there. That's why I was so upset after I knocked him out because they were trying to sandbag me. He was a beast, and I broke my thumb, which is why I have this huge scar there now, knocking him out. That was a fun one, though. My boy Cody Diamond also fought on that. I think the main event was John Dotson. It was a fun fight. First time I watched The Fighter and the Kid, you had Christopher Big Black Boykins on years ago. Yeah, dude. Before Callan's eyelids went through menopause. I've been riding with you since. Question. Knowing what you know now about fighting, proper training, and just having more knowledge, if today's Schaub were to have a 8-9 week camp, probably need longer than that, but I hear you. If today's Schaub were to have an 8 to 9 week camp, could you beat Prime Schaub? If both Schaubs were to fight today, who would come out on top? 2026 Schaub or Crow Cop Schaub? Keep killing it, bro. Crow Cop Schaub. Yeah. He was younger, more elusive, faster, probably dumber, but he would have been a problem for me right now. Yeah, and also he was full of piss and vinegar and didn't have kids, you know? So Crow Cop Schaub would be a problem for me. Great question, dude. Great question. I forgot we had Big Black on the show. At Bell AZC. Fan question. Hey, B, longtime fan from New Zealand. Why do you think the UFC really shows highlights of fights and finishes on social media and YouTube soon after the event? Why do you think the UFC rarely shows highlights of the fights? Man, I feel like they're doing it all the time, no? They will usually share a clip just after the finish sequence or when a decision outcome is being read by Bruce. They buck the trend of every other major fight promotion in major sports. Seems counterintuitive to getting eyes on the product. P.S. Always enjoy hearing updates on the kiddos' sports and achievements from one dad to another. Thanks, dude, but not everybody feels that way. I get a lot of shit when I talk about my kids and their sports. But for you, because it's here, so if you don't like this, fast forward it. This weekend, my oldest T is playing up. He's playing with the 11U. We have a tournament out here in Texas. He actually, for whatever reason, I mean, I know the reason, but it's weird. He actually thrives playing with the older kids because the mound's further back, so it gives him more time to adapt. He swings his swing at 11U. It's perfect timing for him. So he just accelerates and does well when he plays with the older because the mound's further back and the bases are further back and it's bigger fields. So he's not hitting home runs, but he's the first kid under 15 to hit 3 balls on that field to the fence. So pretty cool. And those would have been 3 home runs if it was on a 10U field. So pretty cool, man. And then my youngest, Bosty, won't pipe down. All he does is watch Christian McCaffrey highlight videos. It's his favorite football player because he thinks they're going to be built similar. I think Bosty's going to be a little taller than Christian, but I'm not telling him that yet. But thanks, brother. But to your point, why do you think the UFC rarely shows highlights? I feel like they do all the time. Yeah. And it's weird because like with the Hokit fight, they showed it right away, this crazy sequence, this combo they landed, and I reposted it, and it got flagged. So you can't maybe it's just me because my history with UFC, and I'm like flagged on their account for whatever reason, but it was Paramount UFC, and I reposted it, and they took it back. Like, that's interesting. So maybe they just want all the eyeballs on their platform, you know?
Yeah, they've always been that way, though.
Yeah, I guess. What else you got? Tad HD Talks. Question for the next fan question. Why hasn't the Conor fight been announced yet? When do you expect it to be? I always said I don't believe it's happening until I see him walk in the cage. Fair point. We've been honey-dicked a bunch, but I think it's not getting announced because they don't want to take away from the White House card. And I think the night of the White House card, they announced Conor McGregor's fighting July 11th. I think you're getting that announcement at the White House card. Ronnie Carter 6425. Fan question: would you ever consider doing a heavyweight style ultimate fight on YouTube? Make heavyweights great again. Damn, dude, you mean like me run it? I'm not that wealthy.
What do you mean wealthy? No, just to be like the main host guy. You know, like one.
No, he's saying, would you ever consider doing a heavyweight style ultimate fighter on YouTube?
Yeah, but
that means me doing it.
Yeah, but I'm imagining they mean they want you to be like one of the main guys that trains a team, and then there's another guy that trains a team.
Oh, like, well, then I'd just be a coach on the Ultimate Fighter. Yeah, I would.
But it'd be your own show though, instead of.
Yeah, it'd be tough.
So no.
No, again, back to my original statement. I don't have the money to produce an entire series like that. I would host it, or I would be a coach on Ultimate Fighter for sure. I'd love that. I don't think they're making that call, buddy. But great question.
That'd be. Man, if I was on their team, I would say that'd be fucking numbers right there, though.
If you want numbies.
Yep.
Jared Edwards 7854. Fan question. Point out what the Canadians said about pay-per-views. All other countries besides the U.S. still have the pay-per-view model, which no one told the rest of the world. So once the first card was on Paramount, we all thought we were getting the events for Paramount subscription. But no, we still pay $60 in Australia for a UFC numbered event. You would think, considering half their fan base is not in the US, they could have made that clear. Hence why I haven't bought the last few pay-per-views. Wow. Yeah, I guess if we were forced, if you're a UFC fan, you want to see the pay-per-view, the number of events, if you have to pay for the Paramount subscription and you have to pay for the pay-per-view at $60, how many are you really buying this year? Maybe 2? Because they've been bad, man. You'd buy the last one for sure. And then outside that, unless you're a hardcore, I bet those pay-per-view numbies are awful. Wow, that's crazy, dude. I feel for anybody not in the United States. That's terrible. What else you got? Fan question, be honest, what really makes you think Strickland can even come close to winning? Because from what I saw with Khamzat versus DDP, I see the same thing happening with Strickland, just more violent. You might be right, brother. Yeah, you might be right. You might be right. I think Strickland has a better ground game and has a better chance of getting back to his feet. And I don't think Strickland is going to sit there and let him crucifix him and do nothing. But to your point, I do think Khamzat heard the criticism, so he's going to be looking for finishes, and he's going to be a lot more violent on the ground. But I just think over 5 rounds, over 25 minutes, Strickland has the willpower, the skill set to get up in certain instances. He's going to get taken down. I think he's going to be very tough to finish on the ground. I think he's more savvy on the ground, and I think his cardio is definitely better than Khamzat's and better than DDP's. The question, though, and you have a good point, is his durability. Because, DDP's an indestructible Australian fucking tank. He's a big dude and can take a lot of punishment. Can Strickland? So we'll find out. I think he can, and I think it makes for a great fight. I just think Strickland's game plan and what the questions that need to be answered are those first 3 rounds. Can he withstand the onslaught of Khamzat? If he can, the round 4 and 5 can get tricky for Khamzat. That's where Strickland really thrives, and what's that look like if we do get there? And that's why I hang my hat on, where I'm like, I think he has a better chance to beat him than DDP did. That's it. Could be totally wrong. Could be totally off. I'm telling you, Khamzat's the most impressive fighter I've ever seen in training. What he did to these D1 and world champions is fucking mind-blowing. And he might go in there and fucking mollywop Strickland in the first round. Would not be surprised with either outcome. Would not be surprised if Strickland won. Would not be surprised if he gets submitted. And that's why it's such a great fight.
There's like recent footage of Brendan Allen training with Khamzat, and he's just getting getting destroyed. He goes, "This is the suckiest job ever."
Dog walked. Yeah, I know. Ooh, long one.
Yeah.
At the _UFC_girl. Question for y'all. I know Contender Series and Tough are more of summer and fall events, but do you think they are actually ridding of the talent pool in the UFC? Ridding meaning what? Like the addition of it has changed the UFC and helped produce a bunch of stars, but I think the problem is that the UFC is signing too many people off the shows, which is causing there to be not so high quality fights put on. Yeah, and I've said this in previous shows, the talent pool in the UFC is much, much lower. So the bar to get in the UFC is down here now. Where when I was fighting, it was tough to get in there, man. It was like, man, I guess I got to do well in the Ultimate Fighter, or I got to fight in the regional circuit and have crazy knockouts to get in. And now, because they have to fulfill over 40 cards, it really watered down the talent pool. Yep. If you look at the cards now, a lot of the undercard is tough and Dana White Contender Series prospects instead of those big names like we used to see. Yep. Because it's too many cards. They can't fulfill it. They just can't. So they have to sign these kids who aren't ready, and they're not at a professional level. Do you think they are watered down the cards just in changing of the guard, where the new, not very well-known prospects are coming in and big names are leaving, and will it all eventually even out? Sorry, this question is so long. Thank you. Great question, though. No, I don't think what they're doing is sustainable in regards to building stars and maintaining a certain level of excellency. I think they've really watered it down, and you have half the roster that if this is 5, 6, 7, 8, especially 10 years ago, half that roster is not in the UFC. It's not good. It'd be like watching the MLB, and those guys should be in the farm leagues, but they need to put on so many games that you're getting low-level baseball. People will be like, what the fuck is this, man? And that's kind of what the fan base is doing now. Great question. 5th attempt at Mav Miller 1. What do you think about Tommy Guns from Tim and Sugar's camp?
Tommy Guns.
Tommy Guns. If you listen, that's his coach, right?
I'll look it up after.
Tim. Is that Tim Tommy Guns? Is that him, the redhead?
I'll look.
If you listen to Tommy talking after the fights on Tim and Sean's pod, he could have easily submitted, but chose to bang to get the bonus. Oh, he's talking about somebody else. I personally think we need American dudes like that to make the sport exciting again for American fans. Been listening since 2022. Had my first child in December, a daughter. My older brother had his first, also a girl, 10 days before us. Love y'all. Dude, nothing better. Nothing better. They're going to be besties, dude. That's great. Let's find out who Tommy Guns is.
It says he goes by Timmy Guns as well sometimes.
Oh, Tommy McMillan. Yes, that kid's a savage at 145. Yes. And he's 10-0 too. Yeah, he's thriving right now. What was his question though? Do we need to see Americans fight more like him? Yeah, we just have to have more do it, to your point. And Josh Hokett did the same thing on a major card. So we're headed that way, bud. We're headed that way.
Is that all the questions?
Yep.
Okay. Damn it, did it get on?
At JLittle22. Fan question. Long-time listener, also a big fan of Gearheads Gone Wild. Thanks, dude. If you haven't watched that, go check it out. It's on Tubi right now. We need you guys to watch it. What are some big fights they can make after the White House or future fights you'd like to see? You're saying for the White House guy, the guys on the White House card, or just in general? I mean, it's gonna be really interesting if Khamzat Strickland. I don't think he waits around at 85. I think he goes for that double champ title and goes up to 205 because Slim Pickens up there. He matches up really well. It's gonna be interesting to see what they do with Poatan and the winner of Poatan Cyril Gane, because you have Hokett there, you have Tom Aspinall coming back, so that's getting a little spicy. There's a lot of big fights on the horizon. Like the UFC's crushing it right now, with the big fights, like the main event. So it's gonna be interesting to see what they do with Bo Nickel. If Bo Nickel were to win at the White House, do you toss Izzy to him? Do you toss the young wrestling lion to build his profile even higher? You know, what do they do with Aaron Pico? Like, there's a lot of interesting shit. With Hokett, if on the White House, back to your original question on the White House card, if Hokett goes in there and destroys Derek Lewis, do we give him a top 2 guy? Does he fight the winner of Poatan Cyril Gane? Does he fight the loser? Like, there's a lot they can do there. What else you got? At Trevor Wilson 3278. Fan question: why haven't the UFC fighters come up with the Fighters Association yet?
Oh gosh.
Oh, Bubba. We tried. It's like it's like wrangling cats. There's just too many outside distractions, and you're going against the machine, and you're not going to win.
Yeah,
I've been over this. They need to protest, and so nobody can fight till they make a change. But that's
happened. Like, damn, that's impossible.
At Ethan Horton 323. Fan question: watching the Hokett Blaydes match was incredible, frustrating on Blaydes' side of things since I have been such a big fan. Yeah, I love Curtis. I was upset because he let my drunk uncle Josh whoop that ass. Yeah. Do you think he's done for, or is there hope for him to climb back in the top 15? Love the momentum of the show has and the return of Big Brown Breakdown. Keep it up, dog. You're an inspiration to the father I want to be in the near future. Love it, man. Good luck with the wife. You getting pregnant and all that jazz. Regarding Curtis Blaydes, do you think he's done? No, I don't think he's done. If this is 15 years ago, yeah, he's done. There's too much competition. It's full of killers. In the current climate, no, he's a top 10 guy for the next 5 years, you know? So it depends what Curtis wants to do. Will he ever be champ? No, those days are over. Will he ever be top 5? Probably not. But he can float from 6 to 15. I mean, you look at Tai Tuivasa, you look at the rest of the heavyweight division. How many has Tai lost? And he's still in the top 15. So for Curtis, it just has to be, are you getting compensated well enough? Are they going to continue to compensate you if you're beating, those lower tier heavyweights? And when I say lower tier, guys 6 through 15, Depends what he wants to do, because I think he's getting older. He's definitely lost a step, not all the steps, lost a step. The wrestling wasn't there, which it's always there. He has the most takedowns in the heavyweight division of all time. So I think it's up to Curtis to answer. Can he be 6 through 15? Absolutely, for a long, long time, because there's not much competition. But if you tell Curtis, hey man, you're never gonna be a champ, you still want to do this? You still gonna play Rock'em Sock'em Robots at the heavyweight division at that level? Do you want to do this? It's up to him. But he can be 6 through 15 guy for a long, long time.
His record's not actually. I thought it was a lot worse, but he's
only lost to the most elite,
and it's always and the win after,
except for his last fight was bad,
but no losses in a row as far as I can see.
No. So it depends what he wants to do.
Yeah.
Fan question at Gladiator Hill 94. Do you think the reason we have not got any rumors of Conor is because the UFC thinks that announcing his fight first would cast a shadow over the White House card? Correct. Also, love your new show. It gave me early 2000 exhibit vibes. Felt like a real throwback. Thanks, man. I assume he's talking about Your Head's Gone Wild and Pimp My Ride.
Yeah.
Oh, dude, that was the goal, to bring back the stuff they got rid of. So, yeah, I thought it was good, man. Hopefully they order more. We'll find out soon. But yeah, spot on. The reason you're not getting the Conor news and the reason he's not leaking it is the UFC was like, dude, we're going to announce at the White House, and that's going to make the White House card even bigger because you can get that announcement. So I guarantee we get it around the White House time. Not before, but either the night of the White House on that Sunday or that Monday morning, you're going to get the Conor fight announcement for International Fight Week against Max Holloway. All right, kids, that's it. Thank you for submitting the questions. Your boy has to run. I love you guys. Again, if you want your questions answered, submit them below. We'll see them in the YouTube comments. Go ahead and fire them away. And when you put fan questions, it really helps Nick and Chin out. So I love you guys. Thank you for watching. Thanks for everything. See you tomorrow. I'll be back in studio Mondays and Thursdays, baby. So, and then Sunday fan questions. So love you guys. Thank you for everything. Hopefully you enjoyed the fights. We got one more fight night, and then you got Strickland Khamzat. So sit tight. I'm out.
Two things I hate: terrorists and electric cars. Why are you trying to go so fast?
Got 1,000 horsepower. Right there.
That's the BFD there?
That's it.
BFD stands for Bigfoot's Dick Camshaft. Super rare Porsche.
Maybe you overbuilt the trans a little bit?
If you're gonna party, you can't be blowing trans. We're gonna see if we can make Brandon Schaub shit his pants.
I think that car's gonna hit him harder than he can probably hit other people.
Oh,